There's something weird happening again in English football. I've taught an entire video about how Raheem Sterling was targeted by the English media and how that played a factor of his perception about how people see him. I spoke in terms of Marcus Rashford, in terms of the flippant and clear differentiation in how he is reported compared to other footballers. But now, in the last month or two, a new player has come to light. A new player that has been called up to the England national team. A young player, 18 years of age, doing well at club level and getting a call up in a position which the team clearly feels like it needs some help in. The left back position has always been a common talk of debate when it comes to the England national team. Right backs, we've got tons of great right backs. Our main left back in most tournaments was usually Kieran Trippier, a normal right back playing left back, or Luke Shaw when he's not injured 5 times a season. So lo and behold, we welcome this new kid, Myles Lewis-Skelly, who has rose up into the Arsenal senior team, playing more and more games this year. So how is he welcomed? Main character syndrome, massive. There's something about him I just quite dislike. I'm not arsed that he's 18, he's so effing chinnable. What a helmet. Is that a gang sign? Jeez, at least try to make him look likeable. You can see he's too far up his own arse to succeed. The next Dele Alli or Jadon Sancho. And what is the image in question of what they're replying back to? This. Welcome to the Three Lions, Lewis-Skelly. It looks like he's just saying hello. He's in mid-walking motion. He's probably just putting his hand up to shake someone's hand or something. He's an 18-year-old called up to the England national team. So he's just happy. Honestly, so many comments say this had thousands of quote tweets based upon him being happy and people saying that he's arrogant, he's chinnable, and that he's insufferable. To kind of talk about this, because I feel like this kid's literally 18 and he's receiving too much abuse for something which I don't really see is really necessary. And comment down below, how do you see the situation? Like and subscribe, and Mazar Designs for the best football prints, all made by myself. Use code Vizeh for 15% off all items, and let's get into the video. So, I need to say something here which is very important, and this may come across really badly if I say it in the wrong way. Okay, so hear me out here. There has been accusations and there has been a general feeling towards the Arsenal fans online in particular where the race card gets used way too much when it's not necessary. There are times when racism happens and it needs to be called out. At this Lewis-Skelly moment, I don't really see a reason why people need to really target him. Is he a bit reckless at times with his tackling? Potentially, yes. He's also a young kid at 18 and those are things that could get ironed out over time with more experience. He plays on the edge and of course sometimes he'll make mistakes, in the same way that any young kid will also make mistakes. But my example of Arsenal fans using race for no reason and targeting people which will only make people feel a certain way is when I've been accused of being racist to Bukayo Saka. And I will show you what this is. This happened a year and a half ago, and I did a tweet about Phil Foden saying that I think Phil Foden is the future of England alongside Bellingham. Because I always rated Phil Foden. I think that he's potentially our best technical player, and that I think he's pretty much like a Spanish, regenerated player. He looks like and he plays like he is someone that's built in La Masia. That's how I do see Phil Foden. I think he's very unique in that way. So I think that his methods and his style of play can be so important if it's used correctly. That's how I see Phil Foden. I didn't mention Bukayo Saka at all. Someone said, but Bellingham is on top right now. And I said, yes, right now, because I said alongside Bellingham, he's the future of England. I said Foden is the second most talented player for me, which I think in terms of talent, I think in terms of, technical ability. This, of course, blows up on Arsenal Twitter, 185 quote tweets, and people calling me racist. I didn't even mention Bukayo Saka's name. For me, Saka could be the third or fourth name. I was called a racist for saying Foden is the second most talented player above Saka while having a black man in first place. So when things like this happen, and it happens a lot when the race card is used when it's not necessary, further down the line when there's more accusations of racism, when it should be called out, it would then kind of weaken their arguments at times. It's a classic case of the boy who cries wolf. So let's talk about Myles Lewis-Skelly. What kind of player is he? And people may not even be too aware about who he even is. Now, of course, he's an academy youth player. He's loved and adored by the fans already. And what is the main things he's done to warrant people targeting him in this way? In any other club, in any other league, in any other nation, when there's a young player from their nation doing well, they would be put up on a pedestal. They'll be platformed. They'll be praised. They'll be motivated. Lewis-Skelly's had the opposite, where in the media you've got, for example, TalkSport, Jason Cundy suggesting that Lewis-Skelly should have his leg broken similar to Haaland's dad because of the way that he celebrated against Manchester City. Of course, this is one of the main talking points. He celebrated when scoring against Man City. Of course, Arsenal v City has become kind of a pretty good, decent rivalry. Of course, the last time they played, Haaland actually squared up to Mikel Arteta with, of course, the famous "Stay humble" line. And Jesus and him fighting the pitch, Gabriel and Haaland. Haaland's been a massive talking point for Arsenal because Haaland have also played up to the rivalry too. Again, he went up to the manager, squared up to him, slapped on the back saying "Stay humble." Yes, of course, the fans are not going to like him, but I think that's fine. Rivalry, it's all fun and games. Keep it going. I want to see more things like that. I want to see Arsenal playing "Stay humble" when they smash Man City. And at the same time, I also want to see Lewis-Skelly, the young Arsenal graduate, when they score against Man City, do a celebration almost mocking them in a way. I don't think that's wrong. I think that kind of thing shouldn't be put out in football. Keep in mind, this caused up so much debate of him being called arrogant for doing a Haaland celebration when he scored against Haaland. That caused up so much uproar. You've also got uproar about Iliman Ndiaye doing a seagull celebration against Brighton. That also was fined by the FA. But Haaland does a cut throat, as he's slitting his throat celebration, and other players do gun fingers, and it's fine. Of course, that's not pointing out any sort of racism, but I just find that just weird double standards. Lewis-Skelly's already been red carded twice in his already young career. Against West Ham, against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Against Wolves, of course, that was rescinded, and looking back in it, I mean, I don't think it is a red card in terms of a really reckless challenge like he meant to hurt someone. It's just a late challenge on the back of someone's ankle. And I even saw this again. I'm so sorry for always involving Burnley in my videos, but Anas Saruri, for the first game of the season against Man City last season, got red carded for pretty much the same kind of challenge. You know, the player was ahead of him, he lunged from behind, and he clipped the back of his ankle. He was never going to get to the ball, and he was red carded. It's a similar situation. It's just what kind of happens when those kind of tackles happen. It was rescinded, and of course, he then played the next game. Shortly after, against PSV Eindhoven, about a week or two ago in the second leg, he was actually subbed off in the first half because he received a yellow card and then was pretty close to getting another second yellow card, which he was subbed off in the 34th minute. Mikel Arteta's words: that's what we have to do, understand where that line is. He's a superb player. He has attitude. He has courage. Transmit. Certainly, we have to maintain that and just understanding the risk and rewards. And I'll be honest, from the times that I see him play, I don't really see that he's that aggressive. He seems like he's relatively quite calm on the ball, and I don't see any sort of real anger or aggression from him. Yeah, I don't see it. But, of course, he makes, maybe a silly challenge here or there. And I think that's just due to him just being young and inexperienced. I think for a young player, it can almost come to a factor of overplaying, of overcommitting, that you want to try your best so much that when there's a moment when, let's say, maybe there's a counter on in transition and you just want to stop the attack by any means necessary, that you would drag a player down. When if you're a more experienced player, you would recognize that this isn't really the time to do it because there's still players around you, but in the moment, you make a sudden decision and it probably wasn't necessary. The main thing that Lewis-Skelly has done to receive the hate online, which he's received a lot of hate online, is doing a Haaland celebration and getting 2 red cards, 1 being rescinded. I don't really know what else that is actually done. And the issue is with the English media, especially now on a platform like X, is that when you give fuel to people who can be racist, and it's very easy to play up to that conversation because you know that's going to get the most attention, the most traction, the most quote tweets, and most likes. For any organization, for any journalist, for any platform, talking about and giving people the platform to do this and have this discourse will lead to more attention, which is probably what they want. And when things like this happen, it's very hard for some people to not make a direct link to how Raheem Sterling was clearly targeted by the English media for being of a certain colour. That is a fact. If you don't believe me, look through the video that I already did about him. And people also make those claims towards Marcus Rashford, a player which people seem to always kind of claim in terms of how is he seen in a different way is someone like a Jack Grealish, a player which, you know, gets drunk a lot, doesn't really perform that well, but is seen as a happy-go-lucky, just one of the lads. But I do see the idea that if it was a person of colour doing that, how that can be seen differently by English media. And I think that is actually factual. Imagine if there's a person of colour doing the exact same thing that Jack Grealish has done, with the fee, with all of that. And I don't think he's done anything wrong, Jack Grealish, for the most part, other than the fact that I do think he should focus on his football a little bit more. He is someone involved with the community. He is just a normal lad, but I can see how it would be seen differently by the English media if he was a different colour. I remember this tweet, which caused a lot of the destruction online. 2 red cards this early in his career. They gotta get this boy a probation officer. He's out of control. See you later, Lewis-Skelly, you mug. Stay humble. Generally despise the guy, a complete and utter kid who thinks he's better than he is. Maybe he should go to a jewelry store during his suspension to pick out some more earrings to wear. I mean, that comment there is definitely playing up to some kind of racial stereotyping, absolutely. So yeah, I kind of felt like this was worth talking about. I think it's worth talking about it now, when it's happening. I just don't see what he's really done that justifies the amount of abuse that he's received. Footballers get abuse. White or black, anyone gets abuse. That's absolutely obvious. I just don't really see why he's getting so much abuse the way that he is. Is it because he's also an Arsenal player? Arsenal fans have, of course, made a name for themselves in the last couple of weeks and months and years. People, of course, don't like them too much. Arsenal, of course, are called cringy. They're, of course, called out to be, like a TV show or childish or whatever. And maybe Lewis-Skelly kind of embodies how people kind of feel about Arsenal or Arsenal fans at this moment. They also don't like how Arteta works and how he operates at times, and that he's also quite childish. And I think when talking about Arsenal, about how people feel about them, I do also need to bring up number 5, and of course the accusations around him. We all know who we're talking about here, and that is still an active investigation. There was a file put forward by the Met Police, a full file about it back in January. It is still active and is still and included as enough evidence to justify this still being ongoing this far ahead. If it is true that it is the player in question the entire time still playing for the club, that will lead to what needs to be some very important conversations about the morality. Because when other clubs have been having players investigated for similar charges, such as Gylfi Sigurdsson at Everton, when that investigation was ongoing, they refused to have him play for the club, even before they knew that he was guilty or not. When Benjamin Mendy was accused of very similar accusations, he was suspended by the club and no longer played. However, if a player which is too talented to give up and too important to a team to give up, you still allow him to play, I think that is very, very dangerous. So let's hope that it's not him. So comment down below your thoughts. This has been a bit more of a serious video, but it needs to be done. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.